Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. We've got 2 spells down, a whole bunch of regional names down, and we're moving on into spring, somewhere in spring. Out here in the Red Hills. Let's see.
Yeah, do you have anything to fill me in on? Have there been any events or occurrences?
Well, I wanted to check on how much XP is that you get for learning spells. It's not a huge, right?
Thing. It's sizable. It's almost like wizards shouldn't adventure. They should, if they had enough money, they would just sit at home researching spells.
I think that's how most wizards level, though.
Yeah. But I just leveled, so I need about 20,000 wizard XP to hit level 7.
All right, so we're probably not going to get there from 2 spells.
A0 is saying 5 XP per spell level.
A0 is lying 500. To you. Oh, 500, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, did I say 5?
You said 5.
Yeah, 500.
That's ridiculous.
For spell research. Okay. And then I think it's like, is it 50 per for casting? And then like 100 for learning? Am I making up the fact that you get any for learning?
Learning is one that we've been implementing on our own for funsies.
Yeah.
500 per spell level is right, and 50 spell for research. Casting. Yeah, for research is right, and 50 per casting is right to overcome foes or problems. And so you did 2 third-level spells, so that should be 1,500 times 2, so 3,000 XP for spells.
Yeah.
You needed 20,000?
Yeah.
All right, that's,
it's a chunk, but it's not worth adding now. Do it at the end of the session or something.
Right. So let's see.
Current events.
Yes, current events is going to mostly be occupied with the what's the term? The immigration to Necrot, the people coming from the other villages. It starts with, traders coming by because they hear that Necrot has a really good smith and they need a new plow or they need a new shovel or whatever. And then all of a sudden there's all this metal lying around Necrot and your smith is busy full time just making stuff. And at this point he could just makes whatever he wants because there's enough call that he can sell it. And you guys have this huge minting process. I did some quick math earlier. A cubic foot of iron weighs like, 491 pounds?
Sounds about right.
Which is, if at 50 coins to the pound, is 24,550 coins of iron. So if one of those extrude spells, if you can...
There was only the one, but yeah.
Right, and then there were
the other... also mined a bunch, yeah.
Exactly. So I think in the relatively short period of time, Acropolis is overflowing with... Necrot is overflowing with precious metal resources. And a topic that is going to come up is minting. There's not a lot of coins in the area, but there's a lot of metal lying around, and people are going to need some sort of currency to work with. We've found already there's just a lack of coins in the region to make money work.
Didn't we talk about this last time?
Oh, did we?
I mean, yeah,
possible.
Yeah, I don't know the exact conclusion, but as a wedding gift, Devon was minting a bunch of coins with Dorboff and Guam on them, or like himself and his wife on them.
This sounds right.
Yeah. And so that was going to be, I think those might have been copper from the copper mine.
Yeah, he starts.
And the plan was to divvy this up as a citizenship right, mm-hmm. To like be like, you citizens of Necrot have a right to the wealth of the land. We put this copper mine here in town, so everyone gets a portion of it, and then we were going to tax back. Right. And so it'd be like, So if you're local, you're making some money, right? You're getting paid out these coins and they're taking some of it away. If you are not a citizen of Necrot, if you're just like coming here to be a merchant or something like that, or like passing through and selling your wares, then the taxes wind up being a net cost of doing business in Necrot.
Right. So we're taking
and
the
I
United
think we maybe
Emirates.
appointed like Devon's future mother-in-law as the mistress of coin or something like that.
That sounds all correct. Yes.
None of this is in your notes.
Notes?
I wasn't
What
talking
notes?
to you. I was talking to McTacky.
Yes, there are some in his notes here. He decides to start producing copper coins engraved with Devon's head on one side and Helen's on the other, mixed with symbols of Mathis and Safi. The plan is to give out coins at Devon and Helen's wedding and introduce taxation around the same time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well then,
and I thought we were leaving the current elder's wife in charge of the treasury or etc.
Yes. Okay. Well,
maybe eventually Helen. I don't know.
That will answer those questions. She will propose, doing a similar thing with iron coins, or at least minting iron coins, because you have a huge backload of those.
Should those be separate? Perhaps a different mint? Was there a proposal for what's on them, and is this getting done beforehand?
I think the proposal comes when there's a bunch of iron lying around, and in the months of you doing your spell research.
Yeah, I don't think the iron is as communal as so the copper issue was there's this copper mine in Necrot that we are benefiting from, and there was a bit about land dispute. There was that angry landowner, although he wasn't actually from here. He kind of just showed up and staked out a claim and struck it rich with the copper.
The proposal then is to use half of the iron to mint coins for the Necrot treasury, and then the other half as raw materials for tools.
But these belong to Necrot, which is basically they belong to Devon. Well, and the town elder, but we're about to merge families, right? So the treasury of Necrot is the elder's vault, isn't it? The elder's basement or something like that.
Right now it's a small box in his house about yay big. The treasury of Necrot is quite minor, and it's about to become overflowing with wealth.
So they're going to have to build a vault to store this. So they're about to build the treasury of Necrot.
They would love to build a treasury, but they have no idea how to do it. So they come to you asking if they can... did we move Platos to Velthara's crevasse? Or is he here
does he
Necrot?
Want to be there? I thought he was staying at the Quanot in Necrot.
Okay, that's what I thought he was doing. That's where he would like to be, and that's where they suggest putting the money. Let Platos guard it.
Yeah. I don't
know if
Platos in earshot when they suggest this. I think Devon would warn them that Platos is a fickle god, as many are, and a fickle spirit. Maybe he doesn't use the word god. Fickle spirit, as most are. He would make an excellent guardian, but there is the potential for complications when you attempt to withdraw. But
do you have another suggestion?
No, I think Platos could be just fine. Just need to make sure we keep him. We stay in his good graces. He's fatter and happier than he ever has been, and could also build the vault beneath him, so that he is guarding it, but not necessarily he's not in the vault, or he's not. Or
you're not putting the snake on top of the pile of coins. You're putting him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So it'd be underneath him. Entrance nearby. So if he's really pissed off, maybe he could lunge and attack someone who's trying to open the vault door, but it's not actually you don't have to go through his house to get to it. Yeah. Okay. We probably is for the Akitos was becoming our resident architect.
Yes, he has moved from part-time carpenter to full-time foreman, contractor, full-time contractor.
Sure. And And we have Heifer, but he's more of a smith. Although if you're making a vault, you probably want to secure it with iron bars and things.
Yep. Makes sense.
Is he also minting the coins?
He will probably create the mint itself, the what do you call it, the striker things, but he'll want to probably pass that work off to somebody else to do, because that's high labor intensity but low skill level to make to actually like strike the coins.
Yeah. Is that does such labor exist in Necrot?
Well, there are lots of people coming to Necrot, hoping to find wealth, to join in on this rising society, to get away from shoveling shit and herding goats. So there is a burgeoning labor pool that is somewhat getting tapped by the locals. With all their fresh coins around, people are finding they can hire this immigrant labor to manage their fields for them. Wow. It makes sense economically in this burgeoning society. That's how it always happens.
Indeed. Okay, but are there apprentices for Heifer? Is that the thing, or are there other smiths that show up and can just
there are no other smiths. He will probably, now that you mention it, he's going to need an apprentice.
Take on an apprentice. He doesn't seem the most sociable.
He's not, but work needs doing. And if he's the boss and they're not going to be mocking him and making fun of him and talking shit about him, it's probably workable for him.
Yeah.
So let's just roll some dice here. You will get a pair of assistants, yeah?
Okay. So eventually, we are about to go to dwarf country and see if we can convince some of them to come back. But I thought it might be easier to persuade them with iron coins in hand. All right, so if this first mint is coming out about now, it might be prudent for Devon to take a bunch with him.
Oh. +2 assistant, what do we call it? Apprentices?
Yeah.
Heifer. We can work out details of who they are when we need to interact with them. And they will go about striking iron coins with fervor and joy, because now they actually have something to do with their time.
So what are we putting on the iron coins?
It's a great question. You and your to-be wife are on the copper coins. Maybe the iron coins can be the elder and his wife?
I feel like having the two heads was a bit unusual and more of an homage to Dorboff and Guam.
Then perhaps they can do...
And maybe a hammer for Seor and Heifer. And it's iron as well, right? It's like a hammer. So usually there's like a symbol on one side and a face on another or something. I think the elder's wife may be appropriate, since if she is the mistress of coin.
Okay.
We can eventually we tell the elder eventually he'll be on the gold coins, but he might be dead by the time we're minting gold. So we'll see if we have to follow through on that promise. Is there a sigil for Necrot or a symbol for the hills or anything?
No, this area will need new symbolism as it rises.
I like the symbol for the rest. So I think it'll be a hammer on hills. So it could probably almost be the hilltop on your hex with just like a hammer of Seor across it.
Nice.
Maybe that's Heifer's mark. I don't know. Does he have a mark?
Not as he must have a mark. I think his mark is a pair of horns. He's taken the Heifer name personally, so horns.
Maybe the first edition, the first minting, has the little horns on them. The ones that he does himself, but then like when he hands off the die, the horns maybe not on there. But this first batch of iron coins will have the hills and the hammer with little horns over top.
Nice.
And the mistress of coins face on the other side. And how many of these coins did you say got minted? Did you say 24,000? That was in a cubic foot, right?
Right, it's times 50. So there's room for 24,550. But if you're going to use half the metal for tools instead of coin making, then we're at 12,300 to round it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that is a lot of coinage. That's 245 pounds worth of coins.
Yeah.
And you wanted to take some of these and head to Dwarven lands, and what do you need from these dwarves?
Dwarves. We wanted to persuade craftsmen that Necron is a burgeoning metropolis, and they should consider immigrating there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I will bring with me a strong box packed with our iron coins.
Mm-hmm.
Either as like a signing bonus or
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I will probably take a goat with me, laden with the iron, with the with water and food for the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2 goats in case one of them gets eaten by a troll.
How are you going to get there? Because you're going to have to cross the brackish fen to get anywhere, really.
Yeah, I think we were just going to. I think I was just going to cross it. Do we have any idea where dwarves are? I don't think I do. Do I?
Somewhere this direction, generally.
There's nothing on the map. I feel like I was told or imagined there to be mountains here with dwarves in them, but maybe I'm way off base. But if that sounds approximately correct, I think my plan is to just head across the fen on foot.
With a pair of donkeys hauling your coins?
With a pair of goats. Hauling. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is your apprentice to do while you were gone?
Man the fort. Right. Keep an eye on Devon's little shack.
Mm-hmm.
On Platos's shrine.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably she may be more Platos's apprentice than I at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much constant care and attention he needs. Maybe if the people of Necrod are giving him enough tribute, he doesn't need much tending. But
okay,
yeah,
hold down the fort.
Maybe it's a vacation while the master's away. With that,
it's the now practice this spell 50 times while I'm away. And as soon as Devon's out of the place, it's a party at your house. Let's see how it goes. Right. Well, let's bring you through the hills and the mountains. Well, the hills, really. And get you to the edge of the brackish fen.
Yeah. I think we'd rather play than fuss with spell components, but we should probably say that I've replenished my my armor spell components.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna need a more reliable source for blessed leather rather than begging your snake to shit out another snake every couple of weeks.
I mean, the plan was to lure back a cleric.
I think
the would-be cleric / healer got nabbed up by Atropos because we forgot what she was supposed to be here for, and so she didn't make it all the way to Necrot. She stopped at Atropos's cave asking for directions, and she never left. And now she's massaging Atropos's crinkled feet.
The varicose veins.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess there's hold on. We've got Kronos. Is he a priest of Velthara at this point? Or is he just
You know what? Amulet? He is a priest of Velthara. He's got the amulet. That's her being like, "You're my priest now, buddy." Slapping him on the back.
Yeah.
I don't see why he couldn't bless your leather for you from here on out.
Yeah.
Right.
Should I make a small detour to the temple to do so, or would this have been done?
I think this would have been. Yeah, this would have been done in that time, and you can have, pretty much as much leather as you need. I think this giant owes you a great debt, and is, how would you say, not quite in your service, but looks highly upon you as a leader of men.
So I think what I've got is like a leather belt, or even just like a blessed leather rope tied around my waist for essentially infinite castings of this.
Mm-hmm. Break off a section at a time, or just hold it up and let it like fizzle away.
Right. I think it literally says a scrap of blessed leather, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's finely cured leather that has been blessed by a priest. Oh, not even a cleric. Although maybe that's D&D being weird.
I think that's D&D being weird because you've got priests and then you've got cleric and druid as sub-priests.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We make the distinction slightly differently because our terminology is better.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Excellent. All right, well, here you are at the edge of the fen.
Do I make it all the way there? Oh, yeah, this is me here.
Yeah.
Giant
these
country.
hills are... there's not a lot of things in the hills that are dangerous. There's the occasional mountain lion, the occasional giant, the occasional cockatrice. But the dangers of the hills are sort of... I kind of want to say like depleting. As the increased amount of travel causes more confrontations, which are overcome, and as your vengeance giant stomps the land, squashing things under his feet, and people flow through here, the wildlife sort of takes a back seat and stays clear of your path. And you can make it to the edge of the fen, find yourself looking out across this half salty, half fresh water that stretches out as far as the eye can see. It's at least 10 miles, 15 miles across.
Yeah. Is there any path across this that would... Yeah.
No, not yet. Maybe you can find a path if you travel at enough or spend enough time looking for one. But as it stands, you know of none.
Class rebuild wizard. So this was about a day to get here? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, maybe a day and a half.
Let's see. Movement rates over... Can do 2, 3 if I force march.
Yeah.
We don't want to bother force marching.
Yeah, you're not in any quick hurry.
Yeah, so it's probably like a day there. Maybe even like... Maybe I even stayed in this village and visited the village.
Mm-hmm.
And then another day or so up to there. Where was the haunted village? Is that like here or something?
Here. Yeah, it's somewhere over here. Yeah. I think that might be the right spot.
Okay, well, we avoid that. Some level spells cost 7. I think I may chance some second level spells to see.
Ooh.
I'm going to use some locate landmarks.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I have a compass. The spell came from somewhere, so I think presumably it came with the compass. Or maybe I just used a little scrap of iron.
To do what?
I think it points the direction of the landmark.
Right. Range 1 mile.
It pulls all creatures within 1 mile, the direction of the landmark.
Okay. But the landmark can be at any distance. Right.
I might cast it twice. I think I'll cast 2 castings of the spell. One to seek out the location of the lair of the troll, maybe? It needs to be a singular location.
A fixed location, yeah.
Right. Like the troll cave, lair of the troll.
But there would need to be people who know the location of the troll's lair.
Or
nearby.
creatures, right?
That's
swamp creatures. All creatures within range. So like it almost seems like if the wildlife know the location.
Right, but if you were to say, let's say, I don't know, like the tomb of a great warrior, a bird might know where that is, but they might not know what it is. That might not help. A troll's lair, though, animals might be well aware of where another animal nests. So yeah. I think in this situation...
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure if it will come up. This is kind of me wondering if it's still there, if there's another troll out there. I was originally thinking to steer clear of it, but if it's the troll that I already killed... Yeah. But anyways, so I will attempt that. And I will also use one to see like the path through the brackish fen. If like a path exists, I want to see if I can locate it. There's no like chance to fail, right? It's just like...
I mean, there is sort of, it's based on the nearby creatures, so there's a chance.
Yeah, but there's nothing built into the spell. It's like DM's discretion.
Yes, yes. Distance and general consensus from the creatures in the area. Landmark must be stationary and singular. As head to a major port where there are many elves. Cast the spell again. Compass would point northwest. Boba doesn't know how far northwest it is, so he travels northwest for 6 days before casting the spell again. He is in a small elven port town that allows human visitors. He casts the spell again, gets the direction of southwest. He's overshot the distance, changed direction, heading south. And then you can triangulate it if you're clever and yada yada. Perfect. Yeah.
So maybe the first one was in this, I do it in this village.
For the troll's location?
Yeah, can I even ask around if there's a path through the fen without using the spell? Just like...
Yeah, for the path, you can ask about, and the people in this village will tell you that they just go to the shore of the fen and no deeper, and they know of no way across it.
Okay. And from here, I will cast the location of use locate landmark to find the troll's lair.
And from this spot, no creature within a mile of you, or there's no consensus of creatures within a mile of you where the troll's lair is from this location.
Can I get a more nuanced read? Like, so it's saying that to the knowledge of creatures within a mile, no such place exists? Or is it like they don't, or is it like they know that there's a troll lair out there, but they don't know where?
It's going to be sort of just like if you look at your compass, you'll see it just sort of like swings in a really broad arc that's like too broad to be useful.
So it's like
there's probably creatures that have an idea, but there might be different ideas between them.
So it's not like a error, this place doesn't exist. It's like the knowledge is vague. So I get like a sweeping, like over the whole swamp. There's a troll lair out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I will regain some MP that night, more than enough to cover that spell, and then cast it again twice where we had originally moved the marker. Camped on the edge of this forest, sitting next to a fire with my 2 goats. And I will cast locate landmark. In this case, I think twice to locate a trail through the brackish fen. Trail through the fen. Maybe it's like, maybe I get the animals. Maybe like there's a game trail through it, or who knows. And then also again to the troll's lair.
The path through the fen is just going to like outright fail. Like you'll cast it.
No such path exists.
Yeah, and the compass just continues pointing like due north without moving at all, which for you is going to probably return a. I mean, either it happens to be exactly true north, which is a long shot, or there's just no one knows about that sort of thing. The creatures who move through the fen probably swim or fly, and so for them, a trail was not a thing that they would need.
Yeah.
As for the location of the troll's lair, if you're on the edge of the swamp, you will get a more generalized location. It is a little bit sweeping, but it's, maybe an arc minute or 2 arc minutes of sweep rather than...
That's pretty good. So can you point me in the direction?
Yeah, it'll be like out to here-ish.
Okay. So maybe in that. So, so let's see. Probably in one of those hexes or something.
Somewhere out there. Is this to seek out the lair or to avoid the lair?
It was originally to avoid it, but now I'm beginning to wonder if I've I was kind of looking for a roundabout way to see if there are any more trolls in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm wondering if I killed the only 2-headed troll, maybe there's an empty lair just waiting to be raided. So given the path that I took, I should arrive at the edge of this forest like in the afternoon. Like I arrive a little early. I'm going to set up camp, but I think what I'm going to do is set up a semi-permanent camp, make myself comfortable here for a few days or a day or so, and scout out from this location. So I get there a little early, and I don't know, break some branches to make a crude like lean-to type structure that I can sleep under. I mean, it's probably not raining this time of year, but in case it does.
Yeah, I mean, it's springtime, but this is a pretty dry area, so...
Yeah, so I make myself a little lean-to hang out, and I'll probably do some clairvoyances first thing in the morning, I think. But just to be able to rest, get a little better rest. I probably am in giant country, but I think...
You most certainly are. There are giants known to live within 5 miles of where you are camped.
Yeah, but I am friend of the giants.
Cool. So let me make some... You're going to stay here for a little while and build a camp. So let me make some encounter checks. Yeah, I think it is on the day after you arrive, when you're probably going about making improvements to your camp.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah.
You know, like you maybe the first day you arrive, you make a little bit of a shelter, but now you're like, I'm going to need a latrine if I'm going to stay in the same spot. So let me go dig a pit over here.
Okay, sure.
I'm just giving an example of an improvement you might make in a semi-temporary. And as while you're out doing one of these things, or maybe,
before
fixing...
then, can I check my... So I got good enough sleep, right? I had warm, dry, uninterrupted sleep last night, correct?
Yes.
While traveling. So good sleep, activity, so I get 1 die.
Yes.
So I'll gain D13. 12 again.
Fantastic.
Which will get me 44. Not quite full, but pretty close. All right. And then while I'm digging a hole to poop in.
Yeah, digging a hole to poop in, or like replacing a branch that isn't up to your standards or something, you will hear the distant sounds of a giant approaching. Maybe not necessarily coming for you because you're in a forest, but you can hear sort of like the thudding of footsteps and the low humming tones of giants, the sorts of things city dwellers will hire to sing them to sleep. Kind of how modern people use whale song. People of this era use giant song.
Gotcha. I will move to make myself like visible but out of the way, kind of like try to appear non-threatening, but still wishing to interact with the giant. That makes sense.
Yes,
so,
that makes sense.
Yeah, go to a place so he can see me far off, so I don't startle him or.
You find a spot
the giant.
A little bit of clearing. The giant steps up, or comes down the hill, passes through the trees. You can see their feet long before their head comes into view, but eventually they enter another section of this meadow you're standing in, and they look over to you.
And Devon calls up, "Greetings, great giant. My name is Devon of Necrot. I am attempting to scout a path north through the brackish fen."
Devon of Necrot, the one who has blessed our brethren?
I'm friend of Kronos.
He has spoken of you highly. Comes the thundering giant's voice.
I'm flattered. And how are you doing this fine spring morning?
The air is fresh, and there is food aplenty. One could not be happier.
Well, if you have a moment to chat, as I said, I am journeying north across the fen. Perhaps you could spare some information for my journey.
The giant.
Do you know of any trails or ways, abandoned roads or game trails?
Giant comes across the meadow towards you, speak at a more pleasant volume, and looks out at the fen beyond the woods, and says, "I have no need of trails. I have no need of pathways. I make my own. But
perhaps you have seen human or deer or other creatures making their way across."
Oh, the fen is the realm of hydras and trolls. No
Hydras.
people of your kind exist within. Not for long, at least. Only those taken by the trolls.
Trolls. There's more than one?
There certainly are. Kin of one another, I suppose.
Limbs of one another, more like. Discarded toes that grew into a whole troll.
What a shame.
Well, if you have no further wisdom for me, I will continue my scouting and divinations.
How did you become you? He asks awkwardly.
Why, same as all creatures, I suppose. I was made by the gods. And,
how did you gain your source of magic power?
I had a mentor once. Atropos, the
witch?
Cave witch, yes.
He grumbles unhappily.
And I have, and since then I have studied and learned and traveled. Read.
Can you heal the sick?
I am a wizard, not a cleric, but perhaps I may be of some help.
He gives you a dumb look, like he doesn't understand the difference.
Yeah. Who is sick?
My wife, sister.
Have you brought her to see Kronos?
I have, and he says he has no ability to save her.
Do you know what's wrong? Is she far from here?
No, just a few minutes walk.
Well, as I said, I make no promises for my power here, but I would be happy to pay a visit and have a look.
He reaches down a giant palm as if to raise you up.
Yeah, I'll travel with him to their cave or whatever and take a look at the sick giant.
Yeah. He'll take you down to what appears to be just like a natural depression with a little ravine leading out of it, where someone has very clearly carved or dug a cave into the side of the earth, non-natural in nature, and all the debris has sort of like been formed into a dam, so the little ravine creates a large pool outside of the cave for access to water and fish. And it is here that he will lead you within the cave to his wife sister, who lays within, covered with sweat on her brow, in a fit of sort of, gentle tossing back and forth under a pile of large skins.
Brave giantess. Is she conscious?
Does not seem to be so.
Okay. I guess I still announce myself. My name is Devon. I'm here to see if there's anything I can do to help you. Does this look like anything? Are there like boils or sores or any obvious marks of disease?
Yeah, you can investigate the body.
So I don't have any healing type skills, but I do have a folklore.
Well, you can see that there are these weird pustules under her armpits, kind of like in the bottom and the top of the arm, but like not the actual hairy pit itself, just above and below it. There are these weird pustules, and there's some similar but less developed, so you would call them pox marks on the back of her neck, kind of like on either side of those, what are these, tendons and muscles that run up the back of your neck? On the outsides of those, there's some lines of red dots that look like soon they will pus and burst.
So I think I would like to folklore, and I'll use my my circlet to legend lore as well. So to see if there's anything in my memory or the memory of our ancestors that tell of such a disease.
That is a fantastic folklore check.
Yeah. So if such an ailment has been observed before in our history, I think I would know of it.
Certainly fevers have been observed in the past, but nothing that talks about these odd, like, marks growing in these specific locations.
Is perhaps foretold? Is this like the hallmark of a coming plague that was predicted?
No, this is not within the lore, within the folklore, not within something of the common knowledge. But you do have a legend lore spell.
Yeah.
And the legend lore spell will tell you that this is a divine disease that has been that is the hallmark of Ponos, god of suffering. Is one of his favored ways to spread his mythos and his ideology through the lands.
I will say as such to the giants. As I feared, this is beyond me. This affliction is the work of Ponos. I do not know even if you have done something to anger the god, or if this is merely their indiscriminate wrath, their way of leaving their mark upon the world. I would advise that you make another pilgrimage to Kronos and see if his prayers can reveal any way through.
I am disappointed.
In the meantime, I have it by my work. He's disappointed by my work.
By your words, but grateful for your efforts.
Yeah. Sorry. In the meantime, I have a draft that may make her feel better, but will certainly not heal the underlying ailment. And I will give her a sip of troll blood from my troll blood wineskin. And allow her to regenerate some HP, which she is probably not missing, but who knows? If anything, it probably feels good, right?
Yeah, it'll probably
once like you choke down the initial blood.
I think it'll like reverse some of the pustules and revert them to an earlier state, like alleviating the symptoms for a temporary period.
Or like
of
if
time.
any of them had burst or something and there's a wound, it could like heal the damage from the wound, but
maybe alleviate some of the itching.
Yeah.
It'll ease her suffering temporarily, but will not cure her. Okay.
Let's see. 33 MP spent so far. All right. Yeah. And I think with that, I will leave. Bid them farewell. Tell them that I hope Kronos and Velthara can devise more answers for them.
Mm-hmm. They will do so.
And make my way back to my camp. Continue whatever I was doing. Finish my poop.
The poop pit.
And eventually cast my clairvoyance.
Excellent.
So
awesome. So you summon a singular eyeball.
Right, I pull
my
mini crystal ball out of my bag and turn it into a floating eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
And use it to scout the. I guess I can only do 1 hex at a time, right? Or do 1 mile per level at a time.
Yeah, and you're 5th level, 6th level,
sixth level. So I can
so you
basically
could do a hex.
do the next. Yeah, if I'm like at the edge of a hex, I could probably peer into. I mean, like it's 6 miles.
Could go a little bit into the next one, but
yeah.
Effectively, it's going to be a hex at a time.
Can I combine my own movement with the movement of this, or is it kind of like you channel for the whole duration?
You channel. You have to close your eyes. If you wanted to walk blindly into the swamp while using this, you totally could.
No. Yeah, and I can't. And as soon as I give up concentration, the eye will drop where it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think I stay in the safety of my camp, and I guess I can do a full 6-mile radius. So I probably spend the day traveling around, exploring this hex, and then maybe just the corner here of this one, and just a little bit of this one.
Yeah.
Basically let's see if I'm here or something. Oops. Come on now. So I could, basically a 6-mile radius. I can even go halfway into this hex.
So it'll fly at twice your movement rate, and it will not be impeded by terrain in any way, shape, or form because it's flying. Mm-hmm. So you can move 8. You could go 8 hexes with it without any problems, without any concern. And then if you wanted to really push it, I guess you could concentrate for longer, but you'd probably need food and water at that point.
Yeah. Can spells be cast through this? Could I cast the detect magic or something through the clairvoyance?
Ooh.
We've done such things through normal clairvoyance, right?
Mm-hmm. Kitty. Let's see. The caster can move the eye around at will as long as they remain and see through the eye as if it was their own.
So that tells me that if I cast the detect magic on myself,
then you would be able to see through the eye, right? But you couldn't lightning bolt through the eye.
No, but I could use detect magic. Detect magic, I think, is the only one. But also
wizard sight, detect undead. Any of the detect spells. Yeah. Pretty much any divination thing, I think. Maybe not anything, but most of them.
Interesting. Okay. So I'm trying to scout out a path through the swamp. Mm-hmm. So I will fly above the swamp and putz around looking for any sort of functional trail or highlands. Maybe a permanent trail is not possible, but maybe there's a seasonal one that I can make it across right now.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe next year it will have eroded and won't work.
Right.
Maybe eventually we can build a network of bridges and cobblestones that make a way through the
So why don't you give me a perception check for your ability to not just see through the eye but also look for the specific things you want. Oh, that did not work.
That's bizarre.
The sheet must be borked in some way, shape, or form.
Well,
do
all the stats do that? Yeah, what happened? Did Roll20 change their code?
No, I probably fucked it up.
Is it like that?
The thing is that there needs to be a line break after the /me rolls for a perception check, but not a space. Because if there's a space, then the R is taken as text. But if there's no space, it's taken as a command. So probably in a reorganization
there or something.
Yeah. In the reorganization somewhere, I must have made a small error or whatever. Okay, cool. So 15 is a you
fail.
Can gaze through the swamp, but you'll find islands of security.
I don't find a path, right?
Yeah. There's no path. There's just here's a little section that comes above and there's like some plants, and then here's a tree. You can see it's kind of shallow over here, but there's nothing connecting them at all. At best, you might be able to make a series of bridges between land masses, but it would require quite an effort.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go outside. That's why he's biting me. Hold on.
All right. And we all wait with bated breath for Neal to tell me where the Hydra is.
Little guy can't speak, but he knows how to communicate. He bites you when he wants something. You gotta guess what it is. He'll let you know he wants something.
So no path is found. Do I see any creatures out and about in the swamp?
Oh, yes. There are a great many creatures in the waters. Many of them are crocodilians. There are fish. There are serpents. There are all sorts of birds perched in the trees, swooping down to grab things off of the water surface. More insects than you'll ever need in your life. What time of day are you doing this? That might change what animals you see.
Probably for several hours, but starting late morning.
Starting late morning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then you will see waterfowl, regular fowl, fish, crocodiles. You're not going to see any trolls in this region. You're going to see very few land creatures, only those things that like might dart in and out of the water. So maybe like a collection of freshwater or brackish water otters have made a home here. Some of those like 6-foot Amazonian otters that can fend off a crocodile in large numbers. And yeah, nothing more monstrous than a crocodile or a crocodilian.
Crocodiles can be pretty monstrous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it's a little disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a good way to travel through the swamp other than to hike up my robe and trudge.
No mount spell?
No. Can you use mount to make like a aquatic mount or something?
Well, at least you wouldn't get wet, unless the water's deeper than the...
Oh, okay. And then you just use your disposable horses from the mount spell to make your way through the swamp. Yeah. Doesn't that literally someone's horse from a stable somewhere?
Mount?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think it's like a conjuring spell, so it's similar to the summon monsters.
Someone's horse just vanishes.
Right.
By means the spell conjures a normal animal to serve him as a mount. Serves willingly well, disappears, returning it to its own place. Yes, you are you're borrowing a horse from somewhere.
And then murdering it or returning it abused and starved, dehydrated.
One of these days we'll have a campaign. You'll be like riding your horse and you'll just like vanish from you. And like 15 minutes later, it'll appear and die. They can't get a saving throw, otherwise the spell wouldn't work. The rider,
right? Like,
oh, maybe
the animal doesn't necessarily get a saving throw, but
does that mean if someone is mounted on the horse when you summon it, it might come with a rider accidentally?
I don't know. I think the spell might just pick an easier.
Oh, that's true.
Easier mount. Okay, so typically I can make one hex. I can do a swamp hex and a hill hex. So I could clear one hex. So I could get to like here in a day or here.
If you force march, you could do 2 hexes, right?
Because I'm starting in the hills, right? That takes me a hill movement. And then it takes a swamp movement to get there. So in one day I could do that, and then it'd be like 2 more to get out of the swamp.
Okay, and then 1, and then 1. Yeah. Okay. So into the swamp we go?
I think on the next day.
Ah, right. spend the rest of the day resting, regain your MP.
Yeah.
I think concentrating on your spells activity for the day. You get some good sleep.
10 MP, so not all of it, but pretty good. And goats are pretty good at moving, right? And they just like chew their way through difficult terrain. Like I feel like I can drag some goats through the swamp as effectively as I can trudge myself, right?
Yeah, you've got some sort of animal handling proficiency, right?
I have animal handling.
Yeah. So give me an animal handling check because the goats are a little weirded out by the water.
I'll pass. And I assume like the crappy swamp movement speed takes into account the difficulty of moving through a swamp.
Yes. Yes.
So like, sure, I'll have soggy feet, etc.
Mm-hmm. And the goats might slow you down a little bit. You know, they might make it so you can't force march 2 days through a swamp because they're gonna, get in your way.
But I think I can go like 1.
Yeah.
2. In the meantime, I am trying to scout out a route through the swamp, like somewhere where we could conceivably build a network of bridges and trails.
Yeah, give me
however,
another
section
check.
How about a cartography? Is that's more making maps, but I'm like using this to imagine a future map, right? Like
I think once you find a way, then you could make a cartography check to put it on a map that someone else could follow or that you could then follow without having to remember.
But this is finding it. So another perception check.
Another perception check, please. Close.
It just doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, it's a nasty swamp.
I like the style of RPGing where you make the story out of the checks, not the other way around. Traditional D&D is like you roll the check to see what's already there and the DM already knows the answers, but I like to pretend that the universe doesn't exist until the players measure it.
Right? That's the way to go.
There's not necessarily a path through the swamp until you perceive it.
Well, you make your way through the first couple hexes this day without any problems.
I may need to expend an ignite spell to make my camp that night, like make a fire.
That would make sense.
So I find a dry little island to park ourselves on, probably burn and ignite.
Yeah, you can find some dead
get
bush
the fire started. Yeah,
to turn into fuel. Your wander through the swamp does bring you within the range of various crocodilians. However, with our encounter checks here, we can see that none of them are at like striking range or ambush range, and assuming that you take the appropriate measures to avoid them, they can be avoided.
I avoid them. Yeah. I have goats for bait and fireballs for defense. So
yeah. I could use a short break.
Yeah.
What's our time frame like? We started an hour late. Are you available to go an hour later than?
I think we can go an hour later. Yeah.
Perfect. Then why don't we take our break here? And when we come back, we'll see what's in the swamp and what waits beyond.
All right.
Bye-bye.